just going over some of the emails I got last week. Incidentally, someone said that the lighting wasn't good here, so it could use some improvement. So I know Bob did a little work on it. I hope it's better. Thanks, Bob. This is a low-budget operation here, so anyway, a lot of the emails I got had to do with politics, and I suppose that's because right now we're going through a very political time. Here's one from Susan in Chicago. Susan says, "Dear Maestro, last week you said that an artist should never be affected by any political climate, positive or negative. I'm sorry, but the political climate today is so negative that I can't help but be very, very angry about it all." And she goes on to explain why. But that's probably, there's more emails that I got that are similar to that, stating how angry they are at the political climate today. So I found something in the Book of Art here that might help a little about being angry. And I think it's important that we understand this. It says, an artist should never be seen to be angry. People who show they're angry lack harmony in the brain. Remember, all parts of the brain have to function in harmony in order to maximize your potential, the brain's potential. So people who show anger, show a lack of harmony in the brain, and that's not good. A brain that is well disciplined and in harmony should be able to keep anger contained. When anger wells up, it can overwhelm the brain and take control of one's action. Soon one is saying and doing things that one would otherwise not do or say. Now we know that for a fact. We've seen people get angry and throw things and yell and scream, and sometimes they get violent. So that's the function of anger in the brain. It's throwing you out of harmony, and you're doing things you wouldn't normally do. It says, if one appears not to be angry when others expect one should be angry, then one is respected for being above this basic human flaw. So the point here is that an artist should try to rise above the anger and above the situation that makes them angry, makes other people or everyone angry, and keep your brain in harmony. And they will see then, other people will see then that the artist has kept control of his brain in spite of it all, and people respect that. So. Now, I know there's some artists who think being a good person or being a person that's respected, it's not very important. You know, they think that the only thing that's important is their artwork. And that's not true. This book, the Book of Art, is full of examples that can guide and help people live a better life and be respected. It's wrong to think that an artist can do anything you want. You know, just in the name of being a creative person, you can act or do anything you want to do. It's bad for art to do that. An artist should be in control of himself, herself. So the Book of Art also mentions that about being respected. It says, an artist is still a member of the human family. Being an artist does not relieve one from the obligation of being a good person. It's not enough to produce works of art alone. An artist must strive to be a good and decent person as well. It's a matter of being well balanced. Any good ship captain will tell you that a ship travels best when its cargo is well balanced. And that's what the Book of Art has to say. I found something else in the Book of Art that might be interesting. It's a little story here, and I think I have time to read it to you. This is from the Book of Art. One night an inferior man was walking alone in the wilderness when he fell into a mud pit. He began to struggle and cry out. The more he struggled, the more stuck he became. He cursed the darkness and his misfortune. The next day the sun was very hot. His face burned and blistered as he continued to struggle. He screamed and yelled until finally someone heard his cries and pulled him from the pit. The same night, a superior man also happened to be walking in the dark. He too fell in the mud pit. He didn't struggle. He laid there calmly, becoming one with the mud. The next day, when the sun was hot, the superior man smeared mud on his face to shield it from the sun's burning rays. By the end of the second day, the sun had dried up the mud pit. The superior man got up and continued on his journey. The inferior man never got over his experience. He told everyone in the village about the dangers of walking in the wilderness at night. He always carried a lantern with him wherever he went. He also blamed the villagers for not hearing his cries soon enough. At first the villagers were sympathetic with the inferior man, for it was indeed a tragedy. But as years went by, and the inferior man continued to scold, the villagers began to avoid him, for they had heard the story time and time again. Eventually, some even began to hate the inferior man for his arrogance. After all, others have had bad experiences too. But the more the inferior man was shunned, the more bitter he became. He continued to tell his story until the day he died, frightened and alone, still clinging to his lantern. He was remembered as being an inferior man for a time, but eventually he was forgotten. The superior man, however, traveled the world over. He made friends wherever he went. Everyone he met loved him. And although he spoke of many things to many people, he never once mentioned his experience in the mud pit. He died happily tending his garden. The superior man continued to live in the hearts of good men everywhere. And that is from the Book of Art. That's all for today. See you next week. Go to my website, MaestroGaxiola.com. Email me at MaestroGaxiola@AOL.com. I'll see you next week.